Shalom. This is Yaqub on Yashala, coming again at you with this truth. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Cecile Akim. This lesson is going to be entitled Easter is of the Devil. And I'm basically going to just touch on some of the topics of Easter, its pagan origins, and how, we shouldn't be worshiping this day, man. All right, I'm going to go straight into it. This is Acts, the 12th chapter and the 4th verse. And it reads, Salaki, I'm going to start at 12 and 1. And it reads, Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Now, this right here brings up a big misconception, man, because a lot of people, especially our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, mainly the 2/3, and the ones that still going to church, believe that Easter actually has something to do with the scriptures, man, and something to do with the one that world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahushua, and it doesn't. All right, this word right here is a mistranslation. When you translate this word, all right, in the Greek, you get pasha, which is basically a transliteration of the original Hebrew word Pesach, which means Passover. Number 2, also, it tells you in verse 2, in parentheses, then were the days of unleavened bread, which follows immediately after the Passover. All right, which follows immediately after the Passover. So I'm going to read verse 4 again. And it says, and when he had apprehended him, so right now was during the time of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the 7-day period afterwards, after the Passover, starting on the Passover. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter. So it should have been a Passover right there, because if they were in the time of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, it had to be immediately after the Passover to bring him forth to the people. All right, so it's pretty simple, man. But this for the ones who still may have a problem, or just for edification's sake, man. Because this wicked holiday is coming up. This wicked demon day is coming up. And, you got a lot of our people, man, breaking their neck backwards to try and worship this day, man. All right, as if it has something to do with the Lord, and it doesn't. All right, you even had these churches promoting it and pushing it, Easter parties, Easter Sunday, and, a lot of our people look forward to that shit, man. But let's see what the Most High says about that, man, or how he feels about us keeping this shit, man. This is the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, and the 1st verse, and it reads, Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So he says, learn not the way of the heathen. You know what I'm saying? And, the heathens represent these other nations outside of the nation of Israel, man. And there's 18 nations on this earth, which make it 17 of them being heathens. All right, 17 nations of heathens on this earth. All right, and basically, man, the worship of this pagan holiday goes back to the worship of the Babylonians, man, and the Assyrians. The Babylonian and Assyrian kingdom, when they had us in captivity, All right, and we basically started to take away from some of their customs and started to worship some of their customs. You know, just like today in America, you have a lot of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who believe that they're American or have been Americanized. You know, so they believe in keeping all of the customs of America. Well, back then, when we were in captivity under the Babylonians and the Assyrians, we believed we were Babylonian. We believed we were Assyrian. So we kept their customs, you know, and this caused us to be punished by the Most High because according to Jeremiah 10:2, he said what? Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, you know. So that was a commandment given to us, man, from the beginning. He warned us not to learn the ways of these heathens, man. All right, I'm going to skip on over to Jeremiah the 7th chapter and see, because, you know, man, it was a lot of idols being worshipped, man. You had Nimrod, Semiramis, Ishtar, Tammuz, which represents Molech and Baal, you know, all in one. You know, you had Isis, Osiris, you know, from the Egyptians, you know, et cetera, man. Every captivity that we were under, man, and every nation that had us in slavery, caused us to worship their idols, man, and worship their gods, man. You know, because they worshiped them. So you know, us being in captivity under them, they forced us to worship. You know, this is Jeremiah 7:17, and it reads, "Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven." And that Queen of Heaven right there represents Ishtar. All right, and you can look it up. That Queen of Heaven title is synonymous for Ishtar, man. You know, who they refer to as the Queen of Heaven. And there is no Queen of Heaven, you know. Trying to feminize our heavenly powers, man. You know. And it says, and the woman knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, to pour out drink offerings unto other gods. And there it is, unto other gods, man, that we took away from these other nations, that we, you know, started to worship from these other nations. And it says that they may provoke me to anger, you know, which pisses off the Most High, man, you know, because he's a jealous power. And those other gods represent the ones I just named, man, and that Queen of Heaven, you know, which is idolatry. All right, which is idolatry, man. I'm going to skip over to Jeremiah, the 44th chapter, which is basically another precept about how we worship the Queen of Heaven, man. This is Jeremiah 44:15. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. Because Jeremiah was basically trying to prophesy to him and let him know why they were being punished, why they were going through famines, you know, et cetera, man. They were being oppressed and punished by the Most High for going off and worshiping these other gods, man, and provoking the Most High to jealousy, you know. So Jeremiah was trying to tell them to basically repent and come back to the Most High, man, so that he could turn away his wrath. And this was their response. Verse 16, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord Yahweh, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, for then had we plenty of victuals. Meaning bread, you know, we had much gain then, you know, when we poured out drinks to the Queen of Heaven and we worshiped Ishtar, all right, and were well and saw no evil. And that's basically what they responded to Jeremiah. 18, but since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, in other words, since we stopped and left away from worshiping and burning incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, which represent the idols, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And when we burnt incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? You know, so basically, they were basically telling Jeremiah that they weren't going to turn back they weren't going to turn back to the Most High. You know, they were basically saying that they were being oppressed, and ever since they turned away from worshiping this false deity, then they basically were being punished and going through things, man, and not having as much as they had when they were worshiping this pagan deity. You know, so that's the wickedness of our people, man. You know, a rebellious house, man. The scriptures is written in the scriptures, and let it be written forever and ever that this is a rebellious house. You know, we've always been rebellious, man. The Most High sent out his prophets to warn the people to turn back. You know, and we always were rebellious and basically wanted to do what we wanted to do. This is the book of Isaiah 45 and 5. Because there is no queen of heaven, there is nobody, there is no female entity up in the heavens. All right. The only entities and powers in the heavens is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, the Most High Yahweh, and his son Yahweh Shah sitting up on his right hand, and the holy angels. All right. This is Isaiah 45 and 5. It says, I am the Lord Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no power besides me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. You know, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none besides me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. You know, because you know, that's idolatry, man. Sitting here trying to feminize some damn demon deity that don't even exist, and you want to feminize and uplift that deity as being from the heavens, man. You know, because everything she worships, or everything this queen of heaven, so to say, worships, Ishtar, goes back to, is basically sexual, man. You know, everything is sexual, man. It's a spirit of lust. You know, it's a spirit of lust. This is Leviticus 26 and 1. And it reads, ye shall make no idols, nor graven image, neither near you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down to it. For I am the Lord your power. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. You see that? So he commanded us in the law, in the Torah, when he gave the laws to Moses, he commanded us to not have any idols, man. And Ishtar, you worshiping Ishtar if you worshiping Easter. You know, Easter is Ishtar. I mean, it's the same thing. It's one and the same. You know, Easter is the correct way to pronounce Ishtar. So if you worship Easter, you're worshiping Ishtar, and you're worshiping an idol. And that means you're breaking this law, man. You know? You know, because basically, man, you know, it's basically a spirit of lust, man. You know, everything is sexual. The Easter bunny, we all know Easter bunnies, well, not Easter bunnies, but we all know bunnies don't lay eggs. First of all, they're mammals. You know, they don't lay eggs, you know. But then you got this whole idea of the bunny rabbit laying eggs, bright, colorful eggs, man. Which make me think about something homosexual. I mean, I'm just, you know, it make me think about, you know, like the bright colors and all that, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, it just make me think about something of that nature when you think about those type of colors, you know, dealing with the eggs. And then you got the rabbit laying the eggs or whatnot, man. You know, it just really has nothing to do with the scriptures. You know, it's totally pagan. It's totally pagan. You know, they used to have a Easter festival. You know, they used to have a festival, man, where they would basically do certain things as a tribute to worship Ishtar, man. You know, so this pagan thing has been going on, man. You know, but it was adopted by the Romans from the Babylonian and Assyrian empires. You know, it was adopted by the Romans and then added into Christianity. and then forced through Christianity upon the people, so to say, by on that day, everything being closed, things closing early. So it's like, even if you don't worship that day, it's almost like you kind of in a way like forced to worship that day, not spiritually or mentally, but, you can't really go out and do nothing, like you would do on a regular day, because everything closed early for this day, man. And it's wicked. Everybody keeps it, man. Everybody's keeping this day. It's being promoted in the churches, and they supposed to be the house of the Lord. If they the house of the Lord, they'll be telling the people that it's supposed to actually be Passover there, in the book of Acts, Passover and not Easter. And then they would also be reading to the people and explaining to them how you keep the Passover and why you keep the Passover, But yeah, the Easter bunny, man, if you think about the Easter bunny and you think about the Playboy, the Playboy symbol is an Easter bunny, it's a rabbit, it's a bunny. So if you think about it in that context, in that nature, you think about what? Sex or fertility, sex or basically giving birth, so to say, but then you got the eggs, and the eggs represent giving birth, fertility, because when eggs are dropped and when eggs are laid, that's giving birth, man. And a creature or a mammal, a creature has to be fertile in order to lay those eggs, man, in order to give birth, in order to even get impregnated in the first place. So man, this shit is wicked, man. Ishtar, these are Ishtar symbols, man. Back in the ancient Assyrian and Babylonian Empire, symbols that represented Ishtar were the rabbit and were the eggs, man. You think that's ironic? It can't be ironic. All right, this is so I'm gonna go over to the book of Exodus and read over what's supposed to be done, man. Because Easter egg hunts and putting chocolate in eggs and baking cakes and et cetera, that's all paganism, and it has nothing to do with the scriptures. So let's see what the scriptures tell us to do and how we're supposed to actually hold this high holy day, man. Because this is one of the most famous high holy days as are supposed to be keeping it as being an Israelite, man. It basically goes back and it gives remembrance and gives tribute to when the Lord passed over Egypt, man. Passed over Egypt and killed all the firstborns. And that was a great and mighty thing, man. And that was something that should be remembered throughout all generations of being Israelites. But it's not possible to remember that day, man, and to remember what it really means when you're being deceived and keeping a pagan holiday that has nothing to do with it, man. And you got the total wrong understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. But you try to tell the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that Easter is wicked and it's of the devil, and they tell you that you are the devil. Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? I'm just simply telling you the truth. When they used to worship, when they used to go to Ishtar's temple or altar, they used to go up and actually, one of their rituals, they used to actually take the eggs and dip them inside the blood, man, of infants. They used to take the eggs and dip them inside of the blood of babies, man, of infants, of newborns, man, of children. So these are the type of things that these are the type of roots engrounded in this whole Easter thing, man, that y'all think is so righteous, man. But you're getting all fresh on Easter Sunday and you're getting your suits, you know what I'm saying? And all your bright colors and all of that, man. And this is Exodus, the 12th chapter and the first verse. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be to you the first month of the year to you, which is why, which is March, and which is why around that time, man, March, April, around that time, everything is blossoming, man. It's what you call the spring, and everything is new and everything is coming in, man. Which is also around the same time that Yahushua was birthed, man. Yahushua was born. Because he couldn't have been born on December 25th, around the time that everything was dead. Yahushua is life. Yahushua is life. So wouldn't it make sense that he was born and birthed during the time of the Passover, or during the time that everything was flourishing, that all the flowers were blossoming, that all the plants were growing and all the crops were flowing? Verse 2. Salakia, verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers. And this will be according to, sundown to sundown. So it'll put you out on March the 11th, which is when we held the Passover. March 11th at sundown. And it says, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening at sundown. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts, and on the upper door posts, and on the houses wherein they shall eat it. And during Easter time, man, ain't nobody eating no lamb. Nobody think about lamb. Nobody think about doing this. Nobody's doing this, man. Even though, we don't necessarily have to strike the blood, because Yahushua became the ultimate sacrifice. But even still, man, what you doing, the customs that our people are doing to uphold this whole Easter thing has nothing to do with this. And it's nothing compared to this. Roast with, verse 8, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, because it starts the first night of the unleavened bread, of the feast of unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast it with fire, his head with his legs, and the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. Because we were in a hurry, man. We were being thrust out of Egypt, and we didn't have time to cook the bread with leaven in it. So we had to make the bread without leaven, which basically represents a rising agent. Something to make the bread rise. It takes longer for bread to rise. So because we were thrust out and we had to be in a hurry, this is a memorial of that. We are to eat bread with no leaven in it. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord, Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord. Throughout your generations you shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. So we're supposed to be keeping this forever, man. Non-stop. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day, there shall be a holy convocation. And in the 7th day, there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them. So we're supposed to treat it like a Sabbath, a holy day. Save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For this is the selfsame day which I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. So the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread go hand in hand, man. And there is no, and this is not being done, except for the men that have waken up to this truth, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. So what I just read is nothing. Does that sound like anything compared to what's being kept on Easter? You know, what you call Easter? No, it's not, man. You know, so with that, I hope this video was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. And shalom to you, Cecile Akim. All right, shalom.